Contrary to popular belief, relationships don't just die and breakups don't just happen. They die normally due to weeks, months, or even years of poor maintenance and neglect. The sad thing is, after coaching so many people through their breakups, guiding them through the recovery process and sometimes the reconciliation process, a good majority of the breakups were easily avoidable. So what is it that so many of us are getting wrong? I include myself in this because if I had got it right 4 years ago, I wouldn't have started this channel, I wouldn't have started coaching people through their breakups, and I certainly wouldn't have written a book about breakups. It's very easy for any of us to fall into an entitled mindset that ultimately leads to breakups and loneliness. We can set our expectations too high and have a checklist of non-negotiable traits as long as a giraffe's neck that our partners must have. Couples who stand the test of time unfuck themselves by doing the boring and mundane well. They also relax the requirement of any checklist they may have, and they avoid falling in love for growing to love someone and learning how to remain in love. Take a walk with me through this video as I uncover the 3 biggest mistakes I feel cause breakups and the best relationship advice no one ever told you to correct those mistakes going forward. If your ex comes back, you'll certainly need to know this so you don't repeat the mistakes that caused your breakup. If they don't come back, then you can walk into your new and better relationship armed with this knowledge and seasoned by your past mistakes. My name is Nick and this is The Love Fix. If you need more than this video can provide, did you know that I've written a book? I've only mentioned it about 4,000 times, but here's 4,001. Go to the description below, there is a link for my book on Amazon. It's called Breaking Up with Your Breakup, a counterintuitive remedy for heartbreak. And if that is not enough and you need my personal attention for a one-to-one coaching session, there's also another link there where you can book that session with me and we'll get on the phone and we'll get to the bottom of this and we'll get you through it. With that out of the way, let's get into today's video. So the first mistake I see almost all the time, and it is becoming quite concerning: mistaking chemistry for compatibility, also known as the spark. The concept of the spark was founded in mythology. The following is from Plato and the Symposium. According to Greek mythology, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head with 2 faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. So, somewhere between the 17th century and today, some lovesick dickhead took that concept and ran with it. This leaves us with rom-coms, which is essentially Disney pornography for women. The Disney pornography for men is a damsel in distress trapped in a tower guarded by a fire-breathing dragon. There is nothing more attractive than a woman who wants to be rescued or a man who wants to be fixed. So the damsel and would-be knight in shining armor have their first date, and it's fucking electric. Both are attracted, they click, laugh, and share similar hobbies, and they just get each other. Both leave the date high as a kite on dopamine, and they tell their friends what great chemistry they both have. But here's the thing about that kind of chemistry on a first date. What most people call an amazing connection and chemistry, I call unresolved trauma. Each person is looking for in each other what is missing within themselves. The knight is looking to rescue someone because he can't rescue himself. The damsel is looking to fix someone because she can't fix herself. They outsource their traumas to each other and call it love. This is mistaking highs for happiness, and any relationship that starts this way is almost certain to fail. Nevertheless, they run with it, constantly reassuring each other their love is pure, special, and better than the other billions of relationships out there. Call it what you will, but that is entitled thinking. And hey, guilty as charged. I too once believed in the Disney narrative, but what I want you to ask yourself is the following: how is it possible to maintain a forever relationship on a dopamine high from one date without really knowing the person? Hints: it's not, and this is why most relationships fail. Don't worry, we'll be going over how to fix this in a bit, so hopefully you never have to come back to channels like this. But as you're here, thank you for being here, and consider picking up a copy of my book that I've mentioned 4,000 times. It can really help with something like this. Mistake number 2. All you need is love. Sadly, love is never enough. A relationship shouldn't begin with love or because you fell in love. I can literally feel everybody hating me through the screen right now. To quote Logan Ury from her wonderful book, How to Not Die Alone, relationships are built, not discovered. Translation: a relationship being discovered is the damsel and knight finding each other and believing it was just meant to be. I call this romanticizing romance, and that never ends well. Building a relationship is less about falling in love and more about growing to love someone and knowing how to be in love with that person without falling in love. Falling in love is such an interesting phrase. It's a phrase that means less than jack shit, and it's an entitled one, because when we fall in love, we believe everything will just work, and I'm sad to say that it doesn't. It requires a tremendous amount of ongoing work, or maintenance if you will. Falling literally means moving from a higher to a lower level rapidly and without control. If I am considering spending the rest of my life with someone, I don't want to rapidly fall to a lower level, and I certainly don't want to be out of control. I also do not want to be with someone who has no control. Love is an enhancer, so it will enhance the traits of that person, good or bad. So if falling in love is what you want, I am not here to judge, but you may want to reconsider your idea of love, because falling in love is a flawed concept. Mistake number 3. Thinking love is easy. Real, solid and tangible love is boring, mundane and hard work. I was asked recently, how do you describe the relationship with your girlfriend? My response: it's a relationship based on hard conversations. It gives me unbelievable peace of mind that we can regularly discuss uncomfortable subjects regarding our relationship. It lets me know that we're both working to a common goal with openness and vulnerability. I know you're probably thinking that doesn't sound exciting, and on the face of it, it really isn't. But I was able to grow to love my partner over time, rather than making my decision based on a temporary trauma-induced dopamine high on the first date. Thanks to all those hard discussions, I am very excited about where we are now. There's no push or pull dynamic, there's no roller coaster of emotions, and I like it that way. She brings me peace and enhances my happiness. Love doesn't just work. Love isn't a solution for your traumas, and over a long enough timeline, it stops being a feeling and becomes an active choice to invest in each other. So, what's the solution? The easy answer is to do the opposite to the 3 big mistakes I've just mentioned. The uncomfortable answer is, well, uncomfortable, so strap in. Firstly, it truly saddens me to see so many people end in relationships because that immense dopamine high they had on the first dates has long gone, after years 1, 2 and 3 and beyond. So the next time you feel that amazing connection on a first date, that is the person you must be wary of. Ask yourself, what about them is familiar to the relationship with my parents or ex-partners? What about them triggers my trauma? Is this a real feeling, or are they merely triggering my anxiety and I think it's love, because my first blueprint of love as a kid was anxiety based? Instead, consider giving a second date to the person where it's a slow burn. I am not saying you shouldn't be attracted to them, you should. However, if it's a good date but it's not setting the world on fire, it's most probably because the person opposite you doesn't need to be there because they have their shit together. They want to be there and they are okay with or without you. That is the person that is going to bring something tangible to the table and not some bullshit Disney fairy tale story. Secondly, love never has been and never will be enough. Changing your mindset of love from we're meant to be to we'll build and perform maintenance together. Changing falling in love to growing to be and remain in love with my partner. If you readily fall in love, then you will readily fall out of love. Falling is nothing more than rapidly moving from a higher level to a lower level. Why ever put yourself in a lower position? Instead, invite a would-be partner up to your level and grow from there. I can't think of any other context where an uncontrolled descent is a healthy thing, so why do we give so much credence to it when making probably the most important decisions of our life? Thirdly, real love is having hard conversations and unfucking ourselves. Couples that have been together forever do the boring and mundane well. They grew to love each other and they work hard every day to maintain that love. That means talking about things like kids, buying a house, checking in and asking, are you still compatible, and putting in the same direction as me. It means starting from a foundation of compatibility, not chemistry. Chemistry is important, but it should be a happy side effect, a byproduct of the compatibility and hard conversations. Chemistry is the fun stuff: dating, sex, sense of humor, similar hobbies, and so on. Compatibility is emotional maturity, values, and the ability to have hard conversations without getting butthurt. Don't confuse the two, and you'll find your relationships improving to no end. And that's all I've got for today. If you've enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you help like and subscribe. And if you need more help, once again, for the 5,000th time, you can purchase my book in the description below, or book a one-to-one coaching session with me. Leave your comments below, let me know what you think, and any questions I'll do my best to answer. As always, you are enough, you're gonna be okay, and I promise I will see you on the other side.